Peace, everybody. What's good? It's our boy, Coach Malachi Williams, and you are now tuned to the True Media Podcast. Let's go. Yeah, I'm just saying, fam. But I mean, I get what you're saying. But y'all wasn't saying that, bro. y'all were talking about he was the eye collector. He breaking ribs and eyes. Look what he did to Hugo. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, fam.
Yeah, well,
Hey, listen, man, my brother. Who am I speaking with? Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to at this very moment, my brother?
oh, the Thomas Sowell of boxing, Steve Kim. We did it first. We motivate even the most mediocre. And happy birthday, Coach. Just wanted to call in, man. Happy birthday to you and hello to your audience. Couldn't get out of here without, singing your praises. You do a great job 5-6 days a week doing what you do, even on weeks where there's no boxing, for the people, of the people, by the people, and for the people. So happy birthday, Coach. How you doing?
Y'all don't know Steve Kim funny than the motherfucker. Hey, I'm doing good. Hey, I'm doing good, Steve. Doing real good. Man. I'm feeling good. Feeling great, Steve, right now. I'm having intergalactic conversations, with the stars right now, my brother. So, I'm feeling good.
Well, you are taking off like a rocket ship. This show should be sponsored by NASA. But yesterday, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was wondering what the hell happened to Tim Bradley, our guy. I didn't know who I was listening to. He doesn't want any turkey sandwiches, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had such a hard stance against him. And look, I love Tim. He'll always be a great friend of mine, but I have some distinct disagreements. The reality is this: Turki Alalshikh is not trying to save boxing. He wants to make fights. He's going to pay guys well, and fighters want to get the most amount of money. Fans want to see the best certain fights, and the bottom line is this. And I think people are going to start to figure this out. Not every fight is going to go to Saudi Arabia. So this whole notion that they're trying to export the sport to a foreign land. Yeah, there's going to be certain events that are going to happen at Riyadh. But as you're going to find out in the next week or two, a lot of other events are going to be in the UK and they're going to be in the USA. But what I don't understand, though, Coach, is from those who are so against Turki Alalshikh. I get it. I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change mine. But they think he's the problem. He's only been in this game for about 1.5 years. He is not responsible for the 35 years that led up to a lot of the problems that he has to deal with today. I don't understand that whole thought that somehow he's killing boxing in the U.S., Coach. The game had been killing itself since about the late 90s. It had been a steady descent. He didn't cause any of this. He's reacting to it.
You know what? It's amazing you said that, because we spoke about this before. And I always go back to what you told me. You have come to the conclusion that you have seen the best years of boxing, in your time. The Hagler days and Sugar Ray Leonard and stuff like that. Those days, Mike McCallum's and stuff. But yeah, this is like you said. He's only been here a year and a half, tops maybe.
Right.
And so he's the problem.
I love Tim, but I was listening to his YouTube channel a little bit earlier. And he's talking about if Turkey really wanted to help boxing, he would help start a boxers union. Well, now wait a minute. The boxers themselves have to start the union. And the other problem is with a union, right? In theory, does that mean a Canelo Alvarez will stick up for the rights of your average 4-round fighter that no one knows about? Because a union has to have solidarity and a collective bargaining agreement. And are they willing to go on strike? I really don't think the top level fighters even cares about the prelims. They don't. Everyone's out for themselves. And then Tim also said, well, and the other thing is, there needs to be a pension. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. You're talking about the years and years and years, decades where fighters didn't have a pension. long before they ever fought or even knew who Turki Alalshikh is. Why is Turkey responsible for the pensions of thousands of fighters he never promoted or paid? It does not make sense in my view.
No, Steve, man, I damn near exploded when Tim was on the phone. Cause to me, and I told Tim, I said, Tim, I love you, and get me my guy. But man, you wrong in the two left pair of shoes on this one. Oh well, the Tank thing was disgusting. Oh Tank, I've become your biggest fan, Tank. You didn't bend over and kiss the ring and all that stuff there with Turki Alalshikh. And I'm like, and when I listened to the call yesterday, he said that he has a vendetta. He said, my vendetta against Turki Alalshikh. So, because I listened to the language very well. So he already has a vendetta. Then he said, well, I don't know who he is. I know nothing about him, really. So I'm like, okay, so you formed a vendetta against a guy who you don't even know nothing about him. Then, so,
right. I mean, what is his big crime? He made Usyk Fury, which would have never happened without their financing.
Right.
He made Beterbiev Bivol, which would have never happened without their financing. Also, this guy has the nerve, the unmitigated gall to drop pay-per-view prices. This animal. How could he? I really don't get it. Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to boycott Turki Alalshikh and Riyadh season, go right ahead. I'm not going to change your mind.
Right.
But Coach, you said something interesting about how I've told, and me and Doug Fisher had this conversation a couple of years ago during our boxing dinner at Phil Trainey's, the ones that you're always invited to if you're in town.
Yes, sir.
And you joined us for a couple of years ago. Here's the thing. So forget about the Ray Leonard, Hagler, Duran. Those were a little bit before my time. I watched those as fans, and they influenced my love and nurtured it of my fandom of boxing. But I was able to cover guys like Marco Antonio Barrera, whose birthday it is today. Eric Morales.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my favorite fighters who I think is actually underrated. And he came right in that era when I was getting on the beat. And I was there when he beat Prince Hamed. I was at all three fights against Eric Morales. I was at the rematch against Pacquiao. I wasn't at the first one. I still remember he was the first guy ever on HBO's Boxing After Dark in that unbelievable war against Kennedy McKinney. Look how many memories that guy gave us. Think about how many great nights he gave us. And in many respects, I think he's underrated. I'm going to be writing a Monday column, my snack column. It's going to be a tribute to him because he was an important part of my development as a boxing writer when he was at Forum Boxing. And I'm just thinking about it, guys. Who does that type of stuff that I just listed right now in modern day boxing? It's not Tank, and Tank's a good fighter,
yeah.
But has he ever really given us memories on the biggest stages in boxing?
Yeah, Roland Romero.
Okay. No more birthday wishes.
Hey, Steve,
don't make me hang up, God, dog
Steve,
mother.
Steve, check this out. No, it's gonna be some people, brother. They love Tank, boy. Listen, they will argue up and down. Man, what you talking about? Roland Romero was in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. I actually think Marco Antonio Barrera fought at least 30 guys better than Rolly Romero.
Bro, listen.
I'm not even exaggerating. And so I just look at the game. Look, I get it. I get what people are saying when they say boxing needs to be in America. Okay, I do understand that thinking, but let me just tell you this, though, guys, and I'd like to hear from your audience. Is boxing right now in the hierarchy of professional sports, is it even in the top 5 in America? Because we know there's the NFL, college football, the NBA, Major League Baseball, maybe even the UFC. So right now, is boxing even among the top 6 or 7 most popular sports in our country? But at the same time, you're telling me boxing ain't big time unless it's in the U.S. Really? Where it's a niche sport?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. I mean, you look at other places across the world, especially England or certain places in Japan when Inoue fights. These people are playing in big-time arenas, sometimes stadiums, and they're drawing much bigger than they are out here. Mm-hmm. So I'm sensing a lot of jingoism from a lot of these fans who say boxing needs to be in America, or here's the other double talk. Boxing's dead. Okay, so then why do you want it in America then? Ship it out then.
Right? Oh, that's a good one. Okay,
right.
If it's dead, it's like Listen, you know what? I think I say this all the time, Steve. I think these guys are just professional complainers.
Yes,
They just
they
want to
are.
complain about, you know.
And they do. And look, they will criticize Turkey, and which is fine. Everybody is fair game. Everybody is a target from you to me because whatever we say is fair game. And whatever these power brokers do, it's our job to critique it along with the fans. But all I know is this, that Turki Alalshikh is keeping guys like Serhej Boachuk and Madrimov, giving them opportunities that otherwise wouldn't be there. Meanwhile, okay, and you know who I'm talking about, Sebastian Fundura last March 30th had a big victory over Tim Tszyu. He's parlayed that by not fighting. Tell me what the bigger problem is. I don't understand this, but I do understand it because you know why. It is a certain agenda, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing. You know, I don't know what it is. It's something about this guy I don't like. I never met him. He might be the greatest guy in the world, but I call him Scanson Lowers. Samson came out and said, "Oh well, we're not worried about Terrence Crawford." And I get that. Yeah, you know, we're not going to fight. You know, I remember I had the video where he said something of the sort where we're not worried about him. We're going to fight Errol Spence next. He said Crawford don't sell. I said, well, he sell more than Sebastian Fundora. That's one. But two, then he said, yeah, we're gonna fight Errol Spence in Dallas Stadium, you know, in front of 90,000 people. Dude, Sebastian Fundora doesn't even have a fan base like that. How you gonna draw 90,000 in Dallas Stadium? How? So Sebastian Fundora is not even a damn draw. Don't nobody really know who he is outside of boxing.
Right. So again, when Turki Alalshikh in the Riyadh season and Sella, that corporation that they have, when they announce their schedule and there's actually going to be events in America that are going to be easily accessible, I have two questions. Number one, what will you say then? Those critics, not us, the critics. And number two, since you so care about the health and the vibrancy of the boxing business in our great country, will you go out and support those events by buying tickets and being there? That's all I want to ask.
Yeah. That's a legitimate question, Steve. So what say you about being loyal? What Tim said. What I respect about Tank, he's being loyal to those who helped made him who he is. It's loyalty, and I'm like, where was the loyalty when ESPN got rid of Andre Ward?
Right. I mean, look, fighters in their own way. Here's the thing. Fighters have a right to make as much money as possible. What's happened in boxing the last 25, 30 years with these exclusive agreements with the networks or these promoter battles, they haven't had the opportunity to make the most amount of money because they've been kept from certain fights.
Yeah.
But look, the loyalty a fighter has towards a promoter is to live up to the contract. That's it. So when a Big Baby Anderson, you know, when he fought Vakole against the wishes of Top Rank, they didn't want that fight, but he wanted the $3 million payday.
Right.
Top Rank wasn't happy with it, but this has to be pointed out, they got a cut of that money. They made money with it.
So there was no such thing as because I got the video. Tim was saying that, yeah, man, you know, Turkey, you know, these guys is really in breach of their contracts. These fighters. You know, they are breaching their. I'm like, how are they in breach of their contract?
Let me just tell you what happens. They're really not in breach. What happens is that the promoter, let's just in that case being Top Rank, they get a cut. They get a provision of services. So, you know, when fighters are taken to another platform and on the B side on a visiting or in a road setting against another promoter, part of their deal is already worked in. Like, hey, if you fight off platform and we don't promote it, but you're going to challenge for a title, we have to be given this much money. They get something from it. Okay. Trust me, all of these fighters that are with these other promoters fighting in Riyadh, the promoters are taken care of. Now, that does not mean that all the promoters are on board with the fight or they wanted to do it. But hey, if we're going to make $500,000 and we're not even putting up any of the money, that's not a bad deal. Right. It really isn't.
Yeah, I mean, so what I'm saying is the promoters are all on board with it.
They're on board with it to a point that, hey, if you're gonna go out there and use our fighter, we need to get paid for it, and that's really the reality of it. But again, let's see what happens in 2025. And people say, well, what happens if Turki gets bored with boxing and he gets out of the game? Well, then it's a new market. But a lot of fighters will have made more money than they've ever made in their lives. And that's what it's about. I don't understand. Here again, the hypocrisy. The very same people that always say, that bag, get that bag, it's about the bag. And they say, we're pro-fighter. Yeah. Right. So if you're a pro-fighter, you should never criticize a fighter for taking the most amount of money, no matter where the fight is. Because if you're saying that, then you're not pro-fighter. You're not.
You just pointed out the hypocrisy. You know, it's like you want the fighter to get that bag as long as they're getting that bag on your terms.
Your agenda. Your political agenda, right. And all that other stuff. So when people say, I'm really worried about the crowd atmosphere, timeout. There's been no writer outside of Steve Kim that has written about how the casino settings, which killed hometowns and took fights away from real cities like Philadelphia, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, to go to these stale casino settings with no hometown affiliations attached to other fighters, that has been a 30-year erosion. And that's why a lot of these cities like Philadelphia don't host a lot of boxing anymore. Yeah. And so the other thing is that's interesting is, so you're right. So what is the difference between going to Mandalay Bay and Saudi Arabia? It's just a little bit further out. Most of you people aren't going anyway. I've seen the ticket sales. They give me a break. But the decline of boxing in the United States, it's that old saying about how did the newspaper business get to where it's at, its downfall. It's very simple. It was gradual, and then it was sudden.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.